Okay, welcome everybody to the latest episode of Forever Bristol City podcast. The final score at Carrow Road, it finished Norwich City 1, Bristol City 1. So we didn't get a win the last time being in 2009, but quite honestly, the draw was the least we deserved. We got to bear in mind it was up against the Norwich side that only lost 2 in their previous 10. They're 13 games unbeaten at home, and until we turned up, they'd won the last 8 of those in succession. So as I tweeted on the final whistle, no sign of us being on the beach with that performance, which was it was top jaw. I'm joined this evening by Dave Fevs, Mark, and Ian. As I do for all of you, just a brief summary. Try and keep it. I'll make it 45 seconds, not 30. Your thoughts on the final whistle? You first, Dave.
Even all, first of all, I thought it was a really good performance. I enjoyed watching it today. I think some of that comes about because Norwich allow us to play, but I thought we used the ball. Thought we were nice and physical, and we got tight to people, and we didn't let them play that much. And I thought, if anything, we shaded the game overall. We'll talk about the goals later on, so I won't go into that now. But yeah, a good solid away performance against a decent side, and lots things to be positive about, I think.
Okay, Mark, your thoughts?
I thought it was an excellent display built on sound defence. I thought Rob Dickie was outstanding. The way he manages the game, snuffs out any problems. Very strong, gets goal, getting goal side of his opponent all the time. Apart from the one through ball from Sarah where they got the goal, we'll come on to that later. Intelligent play by Roberts, and we deserved to win. If we'd have taken some presentable chances, we would have got a deserved 3 points. And this is real progress against one of the better teams in this division. So I'm really pleased. We're playing really strong. We're putting in strong performances at the end of the season. A huge step up from Huddersfield, and I'm looking forward to next week now.
Okay, Ian, your thoughts? Equally ebullient, I hope. I would imagine.
Yeah, I feel like saying snap. I think over the full 90 minutes, it was possibly you'd have to say Watford was our best away performance of the season, but that wasn't far behind it. And you've got to take into account the quality of the team you play. So once again, the side that's 6th, we come up with our best performance against, and all that, once again, missing a few players. So yeah, I was very heartened by it. And I think it just goes to show what a difference it makes when you've got the injuries we've got, what a difference it makes not having a midweek game. Because one of the things I thought today, our energy and tempo was so much better. It was unbelievable than it was, for example, against Huddersfield, who, by the way, I don't think it would be the dodgy penalty or they think that sends them down. I think it'd be the fact that they've only won 9 games all season. They got walloped 4-0 at home today by Swansea. So there you go.
Okay. Dave, the team, we keep saying it sort of picks itself. There's various options, isn't there? Rob Dickie came back in. I mean, that playing in a 3, Tanner, Dickie and Roberts, that's pretty strong, even taking account of the injuries that we've got, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, they look good most of the game.
I think as well in Roberts' case, I think he's really pushed himself forward with a strong last third of the season, and I guess we'll talk about stuff like later on as well. But I think those kind of fears people had in January about perhaps we were a bit lacking in depth. He's come in and he's really given us another option, either at left back or left centre back. I think we've only seen him once in a back 4, but I think it looks like Manning's going to be quite keen to play the back 3 if he gets the players he wants in the summer as well. So yeah, I think Hayden Roberts has done himself no harm at all. I from what I saw in pre-season and a little bit I watched at Derby when obviously we started to get rumoured to be in for him. I like the way he tackles with his body, if that makes sense. Yeah. He's very, very physical when he's touch tight with his player. And I don't think players are used to it really. And he kind of gets little feet in and he nudges people away. And obviously he's pretty cultured on the ball as well. And that was I don't think too many of our players would have scored that goal other than Hayden Roberts. So that wasn't an easy chance, and he swept it in really cleanly. So well done, Hayden.
Yeah, and how old is he, Dave Hayden? Is he about 22?
21. 20,
21.
He might have hit 22 recently, but he's certainly 21 when we signed him. So yeah.
Mark, the midfield combo
years to
of
come.
Knight. Yeah, Mark, the midfield combo of Knight and Williams. Yeah, I mean, based on the performance today, you'd really want to keep Williams, wouldn't you? Yeah, and those two, you've got energy, you've got grit, you've got everything with those two in there, haven't you?
Yeah, hardly ever beaten. Recovery play was excellent. Call on the ball, and with Knight alongside him, I think they kept Norwich at bay for most of the game. I mean, Núñez was taken off. He was their most dangerous player, who was having to drop deep and play long passes. They took him off and put Jonathan Rowe on in the second half. So yeah, I think it was a great performance by Joe Williams. I don't think his fitness is any longer a question. Maybe his energy levels fluctuate a little bit, but we're seeing what a fit Joe Williams can do. And let's hope that those talks go well and that there's an agreement and he stays a Bristol City player, because I love to see him.
Yeah, Ian, looking at the top of the pitch, Tommy Conway getting the nod, Scott Twine in behind. We'll talk about the incidents involving Twine, but I'm sorry, for me, our marquee signing, and by that I'm talking about 3.5 to 4 million. I'd be spending the money, but not on him, if the money was there to spend. But what were your thoughts on the top end of the pitch from the selection point of view?
Not that many surprises. I thought Mehmeti might have got a start today, but he likes playing with those 2-10s, or the 4-3-3, if you want to call it. I thought they played quite well. I thought Mark Sykes was off his game. I mean, that one-on-one he really made a pig's ear of that, didn't he? But I mean, he had a couple of options. He could have took the ball round the keeper. He could have shot before the keeper could get set, or he could have squared the ball to his left, as Sargent did for Norwich's goal. But he didn't do any of those. He tried to lift it over the goalkeeper, who hadn't gone down, it was a Mons, because it was a really good chance and a really good ball to put him through, and it was all created by the trigger for our press, which is getting a lot of compliments. I mean, from away fans, I mean, Norwich fans all over the way City played today. Best team we've seen at Carrow Road and all the rest of it. And when I watched Norwich play Ipswich the other week, and Ipswich have had one hell of a season, Norwich completely outplayed them. Ipswich weren't in the game at all. I know they only won 1-0, but Ipswich were not in that game, and it would have been a travesty if they got a point. I was, absolutely the top half of the pitch. We know the players that the club's looking for. I know there are a few targets, but I thought Tommy played well today. I think it's difficult for him because he isn't that big and strong physically. He's a guy that needs the passes in behind. If he gets those, he's a terrific footballer. And I could see Tommy playing off a bigger yet still mobile guy as well if he stays, because that's not, from everything I'm hearing, that is not completely out of the question. Well, so I was pleased with him. Twine, I think he had a good game today in terms of he hit the bar. He missed a good chance, but at the moment everything seems to be falling to him on his left foot. Now that could be because he's the left hand one of the 10s, so to speak. But I think, I like him as a player. At the end of the day, it all comes down to money, and I can't see City in the summer forking out 3.5, 4 million for anybody.
No, well, they're better off, in my view, is giving Tommy, making him potentially the highest paid player at the club, because at least he's a known quantity. And even if you spend that 3.5, 4 million, you don't know what you're going to get. Dave,
depends, Dave, who else wants him and what they're prepared to pay him. Hence, the same situation we had with Scotty. And I don't think Tommy's in that league, but
no, he's not.
That's the two other things that come into consideration, and it's all about the ink on that contract.
Yeah. Dave, the under-21s played today, didn't they? How did they get on? How did they?
Lost 3-1.
Okay. I mean, if you look at our bench, I mean, Pagic, Cornick, Wells, Mabude, Taylor Garner-Hickman, King and James. You'd have thought Jamie Knight-LaBelle might have got in there just to give a bit of extra. defensive cover, maybe?
Yeah, I don't quite see why he's been, on the bench 30 odd times this season, and then today is the day he goes and plays in the under 21s. I don't quite see how that works out. I do agree with Liam Manor. I'm also not one who wants to just give away cheap appearances either. But
No.
I think in his case, I think I don't see why he was dropped. But I think if you were talking about maybe someone like Rafa Rayo or Raf,
Roy,
if he came back from Western this week, I think there are a few people thought that he might have got called up into the first team squad. That was kind of dismissed before the game, and I think that's right. I think people have to deserve their chance to get minutes. And that's not to say that if we'd have been a couple of goals up today, that if Jamie Knight-Bell was on the bench, then he might have got on. I think that's okay, but Manning isn't going to experiment. He's told us that. He's going out to try and finish the season strongly, and so I have no qualms about that today. Just in Jamie Knight-Bell, it just feels a bit weird to have been on the bench so many times and then not today. I don't see what he gained other than playing 90 minutes. I think for the other players, it's like Tommy Backwell was in the squad recently and people like that. I'm guessing today was about either getting their final proof of whether they're going to get contracts next season or give them the chance to be in a shop window with a relatively
why do we even put Mabuda on the bench if we got no intention of playing him? I mean, he's getting a good view of the football grounds of the EFL Championship. That is a real weird one, isn't it? What is the point? What is the point of having him in a match day squad?
Guessing there might be a part that says, thinking of the player, would it look bad if we went and put him in the under 21s after we made a fuss of him? I don't know. That's one that the club will have to answer at the end of the season, I guess.
Interesting. Let's get into the action, Mark. First, I thought we started quite brightly, but after Sykes had lost the ball, I had the ick about Sykes today because I just think he was a bit, as I think Ian said he wasn't on his game. Sykes sort of lost the ball, and then it ended up being deflected off Williams, and Sargent hit the post. Mark, that would have been the worst possible start, but thankfully it didn't go in.
Yeah, good strike by Sargent. City failed to clear the ball on the edge of the area, and despite it being behind him, he turned well, hit it first time, and it hit the base of the post and came out. So yeah, the first warning there for City early in the game. Thank God we didn't go behind.
Yeah,
but good strike
with you. I mean, Ian talked a moment ago about himself about the Sykes one-on-one. Good through ball by Twine. How do you think he got it wrong?
Well, he did exactly the same thing as he did against Watford. We win the ball. We turn the ball over. Twine plays the ball from the centre of the pitch to the right through one of their defenders, and he's through on goal. He's almost got too much time, so he runs about 20 yards and he overruns the ball, but he tries to do that little dink over the keeper. And as we discussed, the keeper's not going down. What he should do is hit it hard and low to his near post, or the far post, or he could square it to Tommy. Same thing at Watford. He did the same thing. He's almost at walking pace at the end, and it just looks embarrassing. Just drifts.
It was a bad.
Not even on target.
Worst thing to do is to be straight there. That's the problem. As soon as you go straight, you kind of make it actually slightly easier for the keeper. You want to actually come in at angle. What he should have done is gone probably across his right foot, because actually you've seen probably quite a few of his goals where he kind of slams the ball from the angle into the far corner. He's quite effective at that, but he didn't get the ball out to his right foot to enable him to kind of have then.
He never really had the ball in control, did he? Once he had his first touch, it was, I think Chris Honor said he just lost the momentum with it.
Yeah. But it's almost, I think he had too much time, and he just got his decision making was awful at the end. But like I said, it was a replica of that chance at Watford. I think we were 2-1 up at the time, or it might have been 3-1 up, and it just looked like he was going to walk the ball in, and he didn't even get it on target.
Yeah,
same thing.
Yeah, Ian, what did you think of Norwich? I mean, if we'd have won that today, we'd have been, well, possibly on course for finishing 8th if the results had gone in our favour and we won the next two. It's all ifs, buts and maybes. But it just showed the fine margins in there because they had something in it, and we made them look ordinary. I don't like, we do tippy-tappy it around. We always go back rather than forward, not particularly enterprising. And it's almost as if we bore teams into submission sometimes. Yeah, but
no, I don't think we always go back as opposed to going forward. I thought we were good going forward today, and we built up. But when they haven't got the ball, they're very unlikely to score. And I think it's. Well, we were discussing this the other day with Richard Latham, and it's modern football, and you're not going to see many sides play 4-4-2 today. I think the few times you might see it is the end of the game when you're chasing it and you bring on some extra forwards and you have a bit of a pop there and you tend to go a bit longer. But I thought we mixed it up very well today. We played in between the lines. We played some long balls over the top to get Pring away on the left. And I think that's just modern football. And my view on that is, if anybody really dislikes it as much, I mean, Richard Latham was saying how much he disliked it. Don't go down, because a lot of sides play like it, or perhaps go and watch somebody else who's better at it than we are. But I think we're getting good at it. We're playing now with purpose rather than just shoving the ball along and back around the back three or back five or whatever you want to call it. So no, I think we created enough chances to win the game. I don't think Norwich had anything like as many clear-cut chances as we did. Max made one good save, although that corner routine they do when the ball rolled along our goal line, that was a little bit perturbing. It was only where the guy at the near post, they did it before. I think it might have been against Leicester, and they did it, that corner routine, and the guy at the near post got a touch and it went in the net. It is a really clever routine, but Max was worried about the guy that was going to get the ball, so he covered what he was going to do. The guy missed it, and the ball literally seemed to roll right along our goal line at some pace, and nobody was coming in, because the plan is to take all the defenders out, and then one person comes back in. It's a great routine.
Realise, Andy, not to get dragged away from goal there, because that's exactly what they did with the Leicester player as well. You should be aware of that. I think actually I'm not budging.
It's a clever old routine, though, Dave, isn't it? If you
think, oh yes, fabulous. We used to do one when I was at college, where I used to stand on the far post, actually in the goal net, and as the kind of player, we only did near post corners. That was all we did. We were kind of a bit like Gary McAllister for Liverpool those years ago. And I just used to walk behind the goalie. No one would mark me, and then all of a sudden I'd end up on like the corner of the 6-yard box, not being marked, and didn't always get the delivery or whatever. But there's some good ingenuity out there.
Yeah.
I'd rather see a side.
We haven't had a good.
I'd rather see a side try it and fail than just continually play the same corner all the time, because that's just easy to defend against. Obviously, unless you're scoring a goal every time you play it, then it's not. But I thought we were a better side today. I thought we created the better chances. But I think Norwich, and I've watched them 2 or 3 times. I watched all the Norwich Ipswich game, and a local derby, sometimes you get all caught up in the passion and the performance goes. But Norwich were absolutely excellent. They tore Ipswich apart and should have won by more than 1 goal.
Okay, talking about corner routines, we're all old enough to remember the old Mark Gavin, slaphead Dave Rennie on the near post, back flick, and there would be crash, bang, wallop, Robbie Turner or Bob Taylor in there. But there we go. Dave and Mark, I'll ask you the same. We had prime Twine areas for free kicks. Dave, you first. I mean, the first one, it was you got it over the wall, took a deflection, keeper touched it onto the bar. He's the son of the Bryn Gun, isn't he, Dave? That goalkeeper.
Brian Gunn, the old
Brian
Gunn.
Yeah. And then the second one that he had, it was it went wide. I mean, it would have been nice if he'd have scored, but when he stepped up, I had visions. I'm thinking, oh God, if he scores a worldie here, we're going to end up buying him, and he's not all that. So What do you think of the two
psychology
perfect
in one there,
positions for
Dave.
him? Perfect positions for him, and based on what you've seen so far, on the player that we never lose when he plays, would you sign him?
I guess first of all on the free kick, the first one got a little nick off the defender. Did the keeper touch it or not? I
don't think it did.
It was a well executed free kick. The second one was a bit further wide than it looked, and he is obviously dangerous from those positions. He's got that ability to get the ball up and down. I thought today was probably his best performance for us with the ball in terms of using. He set Sykes free, take Tommy into the channels a couple of times. I thought it was a better all-round contribution for him. And if I'd have seen that in every one of his 6 or 7 games that he's played for us so far, I'd probably be thinking, yeah, there's something there. But for me, that was the top performance so far, and it's at a reasonable level. I still don't think it was outstanding or anything. It didn't get me off my seat, and I think it's then how much do you kind of then say his free kicks are important enough for you to have a player I'm going to be harsh here, slightly carry on the pitch. So I'd say based on what he's done in the 7 games, and don't forget I'm a big fan of Twine. I was recommending him all those years ago when he was at Swindon and about to go on loan to Newport or someone we should have taken a punt on. But at the kind of money that we're likely to be talking, that's going to be anything 3 million upwards. I wouldn't. I think there's better value out there, and I think there's better fits for Bristol City than him.
There we go.
But he might put 2 Stormers in the last couple of weeks, and he might change his mind. So
I remember when we had Lee Tomlin on loan, in that little period.
Tomlin was great, though, wasn't he?
We were seduced. I mean, he did get us on our feet
that.
in the closing stages of that season, didn't he? We went out and we didn't have our pants taken down when he left, because I think we got, when he went to Cardiff, pretty much what we paid for him. We took their pants down.
Got the residual value of his contract back if nothing, so we didn't lose it.
Mark, what are your thoughts on Twine?
Hit and miss. I think obviously he missed 7 weeks of football. I'm not sure we're still seeing him at full power. He's showing flashes of what he promised, but he's not the player that we signed because he lost all those weeks. So at this rate we would be taking a chance on him based on performances. But I think he makes us look a better player. But we haven't seen the best of him yet. Whether that's down to fitness, I don't know. But he's only really got 2 more games to impress. He was a little unlucky with the ball that Gibson blocked when he was played in by Tommy, and Gibson blocked it, and then Gunn went into the ground, and Gunn tipped it over the bar as well. But he was getting in good positions, great in transition, just not as aggressive. And he made some tackles coming back, just not. He's not really at full power, really. At full power, I don't think. I don't know. Maybe if he's still fully fit and his stamina's there. I don't know. So maybe be taking a chance. I mean,
I think talking about fitness and stamina at this stage of the season, and you have 6 weeks out. I think when we bring players back with no under 21 and stuff like that, we're making excuses.
Yeah, I mean, I like the last week of would be an option when they do go down, because they look like they'll go down with Jack Radoni. I thought he looked very good for Huddersfield last week. Power and pace, although dodgy highlights. So you can't have everything.
Dave, you had your hand up, and then I'll come to you.
I was just going to ask Mark. In what way does he think Twine's made us better? Or is it just the fact that as a team we've played better? I don't. Yeah,
I think he is the player that unlocks defensive, but he's only done it in flashes. There's just not any consistency. He doesn't seem to be at full power. I just thought he looked stronger with his shooting, but I don't know whether that's down to fitness. Whether it's just down to fitness, the fact that he's still playing catch up after those weeks out with his quad problems, we just don't know. But it may be City, based on those performances, he doesn't look like somebody you want to spend money on. But that depends on Liam Manning and Burnley, doesn't it?
Well, it doesn't depend on Liam Manning. It depends on Steve Lansdown, really.
Well, Liam Manning, that's what I mean. Liam Manning wanting him, and the club making a bid, and Burnley agreeing.
I'm sure
So
Liam Manning and Brian Tinian or whoever will try to get him in the summer. Whether I would or not, I think they'll go after him. I think they'll see him as an important player for next season. Whether it happens or not,
that's what you think.
On
all right, yeah, fair enough. Okay, Ian. Second half we started a bit slow, but we got the goal. It was a well-crafted goal, wasn't it? Take us through it as you saw it.
Goal. Well, it was Joe Williams was surrounded on the edge of the box, and I thought, here we go, he's going to lose the ball. But somehow he had, I think he had 3 Norwich players at least around him. Might have been 4. He came out of it, played a lovely little slip ball in behind a Tinian-esque ball in behind their defence to Tommy. Tommy got onto it. Excellent left foot pullback. And Hayden Roberts, fantastic left foot finish, because it was coming across his body, so it'd have been very easy to try and smash it and get it all wrong, but he guided it perfectly into the far corner. Excellent goal.
Yeah. Well, how did you see it, Dave? I mean, I think you said earlier, not many strikers would have tucked it away with the aplomb that he did, but he stroked it home, really, would be the term to use.
Yeah, that's pretty much as Ian said, really, just a really, really good finish, which was not easy to execute, but I think he's got all the technical. I can't speak. He's got all the technical ability in the world, I think.
And the way he's come on in the closing part of the season, it's like a new signing. But then he was a new signing that didn't appear as though he was going to cut through. So that's a bonus. And if you look at him and you look at the emergence of George Tanner, and Ian's commented favourably about him over a number of weeks, it just shows if the mind is right, you don't have to go out spending a load of dosh, do you, to get value?
No, you don't. I think that there's good players out there. I think that goes really back to the Scott Twine thing. Really, I think for let's just say he's going to be 4 million. Okay, and we can debate and that to the cows come home. Say it's 4 million quid, and he's going to be one of our top earners. You'd imagine. I think you can get better value for that. And I think you see in someone like Hayden Roberts, albeit a player who'd only played League One football for Derby and Rochdale previously. They're out there. Those players are out. You just got to be able to go and find them. He's fantastic. Get someone with a bit of League One experience coming from Brighton. I think players who've been out on loan are a really good market, not to sign on loan, but to sign permanently. And even those that have had failed loans, I think that kind of year or season's worth of experience, there's often some real nuggets out there. And I think it's a really good market to go and look at. Those players are, we ain't going to get him next season, but that type of striker we're talking about, if you'd have seen Liam Delap of Manchester City in his first 2 loans at Preston and Stoke, you think, oh, what a hyped up player he is. He's no good. And I know he's been injured most of the second half of the season, but his performances for Hull this season were like, look at those people who didn't quite do it on loan at places or did it slightly lower down on loan. Those are the players with some Premier League calibre who we ought to be looking at.
I'll ask you this question, Dave, since I think you probably know the answer. It was mentioned on a Twitter comment this week, and Ali's just put it up on a text feed. Chris Willock, out of contract this summer. How does he compare to Scott Twine in terms of what he does?
He's a bit different. He's more of a runner. He's more of a dribbler.
All right.
But he's a talented footballer. And I assume he's the brother of the Joe Willock.
One at Newcastle. Yeah.
Ex-Arsenal.
So he's got good pedigree there. Don't know if there's a few little what's the word? Off the field little things to worry about with him as well. But attitude, I might be doing him a massive disservice here. But what's he, about 26, 27, something like that?
Yeah, he's my sort of age.
Didn't he have a lot of problems with injuries, Dave?
Yeah, he has done. Yeah.
I mean, in terms of Twine, I think I'd agree. If people are talking 4 million, then you've got no chance. But Burnley, providing they come down, and that win today has put them within about 3 points of safety, 3-4 points of safety. So that's not a foregone conclusion that they will come down, and they're a good football team. And in fairness to Vincent Kompany, he hasn't sacrificed his principles. I mean, they haven't had the whoopings, in fairness, that Sheffield United have had, but they've not been able to win as many games as they thought. But I think then I think we're in a situation where if we could get Twine for the right money, I think the club would have him. I don't think the club would pay 4 or even 3 for him, but if it's less than that, Burnley have got to get rid of a lot of players if they come down, and they'll want to save on wages because they're not. It's not like they're making money, and they've gambled a bit to stay up in that division, and it looks like it might not come off. It might for them, you never know.
Well, a bit like Hull have gambled this season, and
it's who you can get for the amount of money you've got to spend. And it's all right when people say, well, I'd let him go and I'd let him go and I'd let him go. Well, that's fantastic. But can you bring in someone better for about the same? Because with player X, you got, right? You know what you got. With player possible, you're thinking, I don't know. Has he got behavioural issues? It's what you can. It's what you can do.
I mean, Richard Latham said at Senior Reds, he was talking about players. If you have a player who's played more than the rest of the team, there's a school of thought. There's 2 schools of thought. One, that it's not a good thing, and the other one, but if it makes everybody better, then when you negotiate your new contract, you go forward there as a group. Yeah, you get better terms. And if it was a case of signing Scott Twine or having Tommy Conway and giving him a contract that makes him stay, at least he's a known quantity, and we spend that money elsewhere. What do you think, Mark? You sat there very patiently.
I don't know if Tommy Conway is going to get many better offers, to be quite honest. I mean, he's still not the completed article as a centre forward, and I think it would be best for his career if he stayed at City and improved his game. Yeah. I mean, every club's a selling club. We got to understand that. So what happens is, the players do the business on the pitch, increase their value, and the clubs sell them at the right time. Yeah. When it's right for both parties. That's just the way of the world. But Tommy needs to improve a lot of his game. One-on-ones. Playing with his back to goal. He's not the strongest, and I can't see a Premier League club, taking a chance on him because post-COVID, it's not going to happen.
It's got to be north of the border, isn't it? For
possibly, for Celtic. Possibly, I could see him playing for Celtic or Rangers at that level, and maybe to try and get in the Scotland squad because he's not going to make it for the Euros, unfortunately, because he's fallen right down the pecking order. But no, I think it'd be good for all concerned if they can agree, a new contract and get a deal done. Okay, but it's up to him, I think.
All right, let's get back into the game. Ian, I won't say typical Bristol City, but we took the lead, but in 3 minutes, Norwich got back on level terms. It was one of those games that we could have won it, they could have won it. But what did you think of the goal? There's some thought of it being offside. I think one of you said Dickey had a good game, but the ball was played down on the inside of him, wasn't it? Yeah, your thoughts on that goal?
Well, he's up against a very good player in Sargent, and they got the ball down the side of him, and there was a gap between Tanner and Dickey, and they found that gap with a really good pass, excellent turn. He's in the box, out comes Max, and unlike Mark Sykes we were talking about earlier, he's got a head on him to slide the ball to the left. In real time, the guy looked offside. Obviously, the only way that you're going to see if he is actually offside is some kind of freeze frame or slow motion. I mean, and he had to. The player, it wasn't a perfect pass. The player was almost past the ball. He almost put it behind him, and he's reached back and got it. But of course, Max has come out, and it's an empty net, so he doesn't have to get fantastic contact on it to knock it over the line. But yeah, I mean, sometimes that they always say, you've got to really. You always see managers going down the touchline doing this when they just scored, saying switch on, and we I don't think we switched off. I just think it was a really good bit of football from Norwich, and they caught us out most of the time today. I would say that for the player that I know Sargent is, and I rate him, I think we did brilliantly against him.
How old is Sargent, Ian, and what's his background? Is he academy up there or something?
He's an American player, and I think they paid a fair bit of money for him, but I'm not sure. I think in 24, 25, something like that, Dave.
Yeah, he might even be a bit younger than that, but yeah, I'll quickly have a look. You carry on talking.
All right, you have a look.
He's 24.
Mark, 24. I mean, what did you think? What did you think?
Well, for some reason, Tanner comes. He is actually behind Sargent, and he drops off him and moves over to Signs. So there's a gap for Gomez Sarah to play the ball into Sargent between Tanner and Dickey, because Dickey's to the left, Tanner's to the right. There's a big gap there for Sargent to run into, and Sargent takes it. Tanner's out the game, so he's goal side of Dickey as he goes towards the area. But I've looked at it again, and it's offside. It's not a yard offside. It's tight, but it's in front of the ball. I think it's offside. I don't know whether the assistant referee wasn't up with it, but he plays it slightly in front of him, and Signs plays it into an empty net.
All right, Dave, you're shaking your head there.
I see the freeze frame when he plays it, and actually, hard to believe. I think the reason we all think he's offside is because his arm's out like that, and actually, the arm isn't offside. And I think actually is, if you were to draw a line down from the I think he's onside. I couldn't believe it until I saw the freeze frame. If you watch it in motion, you think he's definitely offside, but actually, I think it may well have been the right decision.
Yeah,
and it's all subjective because there's no VAR, is there? So,
and if we have VAR though, that would go to VAR next season, won't it? Yeah.
We're not getting VAR.
Well, there's no VAR in the Championship.
We're not getting it. We're not getting it next season. I thought we were.
That was April Fool, wasn't it?
Was it off? There we go.
Well, you got to draw a line somewhere, Dave.
Second tier podcast because they're a bunch of absolute beat. But they put out a really good one. Starting word of each line said April Fools on it as well. So it was.
I wish that FA Cup replays scrapping. That would have been an April Fool joke.
Well, we can talk about that in a minute as well. Roger Tullis said if City had scored that goal, it would have been ruled out for offside. And if Norwich had scored the one that we had disallowed late on, that would have been given. It's so fickle. Dave, the good thing about today was that after conceding, we didn't wilt, and that was despite Sains and Sargent setting up Rowe, and that was that save that Ian alluded to earlier. When Max got down and saved it well, but we competed, didn't we? And I know the commentator was saying they seemed happy to play out for a point. It was better for them to keep that point, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think they had, the few minutes after they scored, they looked like they might put us under a bit of pressure, so they had that shot. But then after that, we got back into playing our stuff. We moved the ball around, and I thought we played some really nice stuff. It was a really quite a pleasant afternoon watch, really. So it'd been nice if we'd have picked up the 3 points, but I don't think anyone moans too much at a 1-1 away from home against a.
No, as long as we finished top half and above Cardiff. Although Cardiff won today, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
Despite getting dominated by Southampton, they won, didn't they? There was a huge amount of injury time, wasn't there? About 15 minutes.
Got one, and then they scored late on as well. I think that game went on for about another 20 minutes, didn't it?
Yeah. And Signo O'Dowda, he doesn't seem to be in the squad at all. I'm guessing he's injured now, but there we go.
Yeah, tripped over his ego. It's a long way down.
Mark and then Ian, we had the ball in the back of the net in the 89th minute. Harry Boy. Unfair decision, Mark?
I think he moves just a bit. He's right on the edge of the defensive line. I think he goes just a bit too early. I thought originally it was handball, but it's a great free kick because it's played over the edge of the right to the back of the 18-yard box, and he follows it in, and comically sort of falling. It hits one leg and then the other, and goes over the goalkeeper into the net. And I thought they'd allowed it first of all, and then you heard the crowd go and start chuckling. But it was just when you saw it in slow motion, it was offside, but it was closer than it looked in real time.
Offside, was it? What did you think?
Yeah, it was offside.
What did you think about that one, Ian?
the only way you're going to see that if you're looking along the line where the linesman is really, because the camera's behind the free kick taker. Good free kick from Joe Williams, by the way.
Hmm.
Funny old finish from Harry Cornick. It seemed to every part of his body,
Typical
but
Harry Cornick.
the one he wanted, used to put me in mind of some of the runs Tom Ritchie used to do when the ball would bounce. He had no control over the ball whatsoever, and he'd go past three players with a dribble, and it'd be hitting his nose, his chest, his head, his face, everything but his foot. But no, I mean, if the lino says it's offside, it's offside. We haven't got VAR. Opinions vary on whether we should or we shouldn't. But yeah, so it's given offside. I think some of these guys are incompetent. I mean, obviously, it's one in the eye for male linesmen and male referees, isn't it? I mean, because perhaps we should get women running refereeing the games all the time because they get it right.
Yeah. If I disagreed, we'd both be wrong. Yeah.
What am I saying?
Yeah. Dave.
My only problem last week was when I don't mind them saying the referee was awful. That's great. I've said that plenty of times, but not because she was a woman.
No, that's
just ridiculous. Gender don't come into it. It's like saying, well, the referee, he was Chinese. Yeah, so what?
There's a long list of referees at this level, isn't there?
And I have to say, today's referee, Sam
Keith
Barrott,
Stroud doesn't even get anywhere near the bottom group.
Sam Barrott today, I thought he refereed the game.
He was all right, wasn't he?
He refereed the game.
Yeah, very even-handed, and he didn't want. I don't think he gave a card out. There was some questionable challenges. No cards, was there? Pardon?
Or for that late incident, there was about 3 or 4.
Oh yes. Oh god, yeah, that was comical.
Ian was just saying, Dave, about Tommy, sort of running through with a ball, hitting him on the head and keeping control of it nonetheless. A player who's got a little bit about him, although he didn't show it too much today, and I thought it was a bit bang average. And he did cost us, what was it, 2 million? Ross McCrorie. Now, it was a good interview with him pre-match on Robin's TV, where he talked about he didn't necessarily expect, because of his medical condition, to even feature this season. Yeah. But what did you think of Ross McCrorie today, or your opinions on him? Because I don't think we've asked you this.
I think McCrorie, any football we've got out of him this season is a big bonus after what he's been through. And I think he's probably at the point where he could probably do, he probably wouldn't agree this, but it's just my view. I think the season could have done with ending for him, probably at Easter. And give him a rest, come back, do a proper pre-season, and then see what he's like. I think, some of those early games that he played, I thought he was great, but I think he's playing on adrenaline. And if any of you have ever kind of been out for a long time injured, sometimes that's what happens, and then it catches up with you. And I think that's where he is now. But I'll also say today, he might not have offered us too much in the final third of the pitch, but Sam McCallum as a left back for Norwich is a cracking fullback. He did nothing today. So let's also think about what Ross McCrorie does against his opposing number in terms of stopping his opposing number as well, because Sam McCallum got absolutely no joy out of him today as well. And for me, that's a big tick in the box, because they do use him quite a lot down that left-hand side when Simon and inverts. McCallum goes on the outside, and that didn't happen once today. So I think next season, that's when to judge Ross McCrorie. I think he's been all right. I think he's been a solid 6 out of 10 because he's had a couple of crappy games, and he's had a few decent games as well. Overall, he's done fine, and I think all credit to him off the back of the injury, which, to be honest, could have ended his career, couldn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, 44 games to go. We really are at the dregs end of the season. Rotherham at home. I think there's going to be a big crowd there for that one, which will be good to end the home season with a win. Stoke City away. Have they got anything on that game now? Anybody? They won today.
They won today, didn't they? So
they're 6 points clear.
Stoke got 50 points. They'll be all right.
They're safe. So 2 games to go. It'd be nice. I guess the objective would be to thrash Rotherham and stay unbeaten by getting a draw at Stoke. Yeah, we'd all be happy with that, wouldn't we? Ian?
No, we wanted a win. 6 wins in a row at Stoke. That's what we want.
In an ideal world, I'd like to see us win both games. But you saw from Huddersfield last week, these sides down the bottom, I mean, same as us today. I mean, technically, I think we were one of I think I read something today. We were one of either 4 or 5 teams that was guaranteed a place in the Championship before today's matches, and one of those was Pompey, who who got promoted last week. So it's hell of a division. I want to see us perform like we did today. The result, to a degree, I mean, you want to win games. I hate losing, but you want to win games. But the performance is, well, for me, the performance is key, because that's the thing that takes us into next season. That's the thing that convinces the board to part with the amount of money that Liam Manning wants for the players that he wants, and he's only looking for 2. Now, we will sign some others if other players go out, if other players leave. But at the moment, if things stay as they are, and assuming that, for example, Joe Williams signs a new contract, Tommy signs a new contract, our team will be very much the same, apart from a new 9 and a new 10. And there are quite a few players out there that we're watching in this country and abroad that fit the bill of what we want. Now, it's then going to be a question of when Liam Manning sits down with the board of directors and says, right, we want to sign Harry Smith and Joe Bloggs. They're going to cost us £5 million for the 2 of them. I want the money to buy those players. And then the board have got a decision to make. Now, it may be that they say, well, you can, providing we can pay that money over 4 years.
Well, you do that anyway. You do that. We do it.
Yeah, no, Dave. Not every deal is the same. You might get a club abroad. They might say, well, no, sorry, you can pay a bit of it over 4 years, but we want £2 million each up front. And I don't see the club doing that. I could be completely wrong, but on everything I'm hearing, I think that's the type of conversation that's going to be had. And if somebody said to me, are you confident that we'll get the 9 and the 10? I'd say by hook or by crook, but it might not be the 9 and the 10 that the fans will think will be marquee signings. Now that's from what I hear and what I know. So, but we will genuinely have to see. It's not easy, and loads of clubs in the division haven't got any money, and loads of them are in debt. You've only got to look at clubs like Leicester, who the minute they get promoted have got to look forward to a 10-point deduction because they've lost 215 million quid. So
they still got,
you know, there's loads of clubs are like it. You know, they're all looking over their shoulder thinking, Christ, are we going to be able to pay the rent tomorrow?
Yeah. Dave, come 1st of July, when they all report back for training, we have then got a fully fit squad. Yeah. And as Ian would say, you're always going to lose some players, but even with a threadbare squad of sort, well, no, it's not threadbare, our squad at the moment. We put in a performance like we did today. Yeah. With decent.
It's a thin squad, isn't it? You know, that's the way they've decided to build it over the last 2.5, 3 years, is to keep it thin, because that keeps the costs down. And there's an expectation that if they do have bad injuries, they'll backfill with academy. That's the remit, isn't it? You know, we're not going to suddenly go out there and have a big squad, a bloated squad, and in some we have to accept that as fans. That's what they've laid down, because unfortunately we've overspent in previous years. So we could all sit here and say, yeah, we need a 30-man senior squad. We ain't gonna have that. We'll have something less than that, and hopefully we'll have some good academy players. You know, maybe someone like Seb Palmer Holden will be around the first team next year, and we'll use him. You know,
sorry to interrupt, Dave. Can I just say Seb Palmer Holden has just won Newport's Young Player of the Year.
That doesn't surprise me. He's had a very good season there.
Good for him. Good for him.
And he will be in the first team squad next season. Definitely.
He'll get his chance over the summer. So
if you look at the players that we've signed for next season already, and they're the absentees at the moment, which is Stokes, Murphy, and Bird. Now, well, definitely Max Bird. Yeah, if we keep Joe Williams, you're then in a situation where I think whichever defensive formation we play, I think we got players that can play in multiple positions in there without necessarily weakening it. It is still that top end of the pitch where we need to get it we need to get it right, because if you think next season, if we've still got Joe Williams, if Joe signs, and that's got a degree of inevitability about it, I'm thinking, and you've got Max Bird, yeah, you got Taylor Gardner-Hickman, you got Knight as well. You've got good strength there, and I think the weakness is in the top three in that type of formation. So really, to get better than what we've got, instead of signing 2 players that cost us 5 million, we got to sign 2 players that cost us 8. We got to spend more to make that difference, because we're just a goal scorer short of being in the playoffs this season. That's how it's going to pan out.
I think we just have to recruit smartly. This is an easy word to kind of throw out there. I don't think it's about how much we spend. I think it's about getting the right players that fit. I think, you think I look back to last summer, Rob Dickey, 600,000, Hayden Roberts, nothing. Players are out there. We just got to be good at finding them. For those of you who've not watched the film Moneyball, because it's crap, but if any of you have read the book, it's about finding those things that are undervalued in the market, and for whatever reason they can be. Dickey had just had a bad season confidence-wise. He wasn't a bad player. All credit to some of the work Dave Reddy did with him over last summer as well, to change a few things in his training regime as well. Let's find the right players. It's not necessarily think we need to spend lots and lots of money. It might be someone coming out of contract. It might be someone like Radoni who's gone getting relegated with Huddersfield, who suddenly, might have been out of our reach had they stayed in the Championship, suddenly becomes available because he don't want to play in League One. So let's be open-minded, and and when we look at these number 9s as well, one of the things we mustn't do is, let's not go straight to the top right-hand column of Wikipedia and try and work out how many goals per game he gets, because I still remember less than, what are we now? April, 3.5 months ago, people on Twitter and OTIP going, why the F would we want to sign Muniz from Fulham? And why? Because he's a physical striker. He's got presence. His goals record at Fulham and Middlesbrough when he was on loan wasn't particularly good. His goals record when he was in Brazil was pretty decent. And has he got Player of the Month for Fulham or something like that?
Yeah.
This summer, why don't we make a vow to ourselves to be open-minded about players, and let's actually see them, if we actually get them, what they play like in a City shirt.
Yeah, it's exciting time.
To forever Bristol City. That was
exciting time.
In fairness, the thing about Muniz was only clickbait anyway, because
I'm sure it was, but
Fulham weren't going to let him go, and we were never in the market. We couldn't afford his wages, and neither could QPR, and those were the 2 clubs linked. So, there was no, that was never on and never going to happen. But I take your point. I mean, I looked at his goal scoring record, and I was one of the people that said, well, when he's played in the Championship, he hasn't scored a lot of goals. But the thing is,
and that's why I said it.
When you're in a better team, and this is what I say about Tommy Conway. If Tommy was playing for a better team, he'd score goals. I'm telling you that now. And it's up to us to make our team better and play better, so Tommy does score the goals, because the kid knows where the back of the net is.
Well, we're not giving them service now. Let's just wrap up on a couple of points. Mark, FA Cup, no replays. Unbelievable that the FA and Emirates and the Premier League just decided it with no consultation. Ridiculous.
Yeah, the FA Cup has become for the few, not the many. I mean, the FA said that the Premier League said that they consulted with the Football League. The Football League say they didn't. I think it's absolutely disgusting, because it's a revenue stream which helps support help support Football League clubs, especially those in Leagues 1 and 2 that need the revenue. We're not all as fortunate as Premier League teams that don't need gate revenue to survive, because we got big fat chunky TV deals, and riding roughshod over the Football League I think is disgusting, and they should reconsider. I really do.
What do you think, Ian, on that point?
Yeah, I think first thing, I could not understand why they ruled out replays in the first and second round, because the Premier Leagues don't even come in until the third round.
That's what makes it even more bizarre, isn't it?
there are more things they need to do. The first thing, they could cure all the noise tomorrow by doing what they promised to do, and that's increasing the solidarity payment. Now that's important because at the moment we earn a lot more from that than we do from season ticket sales. So that's how important it is. So if they doubled the solidarity payment, and that would mean giving the whole of the rest of the football pyramid, not just the EFL or the Championship, the whole rest of the football pyramid, 20% of the total television revenue they get over 3 years, which is 15.6 billion. So that's all it would cost them.
Well, they ain't got to do it, Ian. You've just said.
No, well, hang on. Let me finish the other thing that they could. Then they could say, well, there you are. There's all your problems solved with FA Cup replays. Don't worry about it, because when you have a replay or not, you're 100%. Well, you're better off than you were last year because the payment's been doubled. Whether you're in League Two, the National League, your payment's doubled. So Bristol City's would go up from 4.5 million to 9 million.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Now the other thing they do then is they say, on top of that, what we're going to do is we're going to give a hard and fast ruling around points deductions and profit and sustainability, or what some people call FFP. These are hard and fast rulings because at the moment, clubs are saying, well, hang on a minute, they lost more money than us. We got a 10-point deduction. They got a 6. Theirs got reduced to 6. We want ours to be 3. And it's just it's an absolute bugger's muddle of a way. You got clubs suing the Leicester, I think, are suing the FA and not the FA, the EFL and the Premier League over these potential points deductions. So it's just got, and there's a really simple way. Now, my only hope, and I don't often say, Ronald Reagan once said, the words you don't want to hear if you're in business is somebody saying, I've just come from the government to help. Those are words you never want to hear. But this time, if a regulator's appointed, I think they're going to say to the Premier League, right, you put your house in order or I will.
Yeah.
And if I had that job, and I'm not going to get it in a million years, but just say I did, I'd be saying, right, stick it up to 20% and do what you want with the FA Cup, right? And that way, I've heard of things like, oh, well, the EFL club should pull out of the FA Cup altogether, make a nonsense of competition. Oh, yeah. But you've also got to remember that you get money from the EFL pool, and a lot of that is generated from the league. So, don't cut your nose off to spite your face, lads. But let's be sensible and let's get those rulings in place, and then everybody knows where they are. If you lose X money, you get X penalty. Yeah. And that's whether you're Liverpool, Bristol City, or Lincoln City.
Or just give,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, or just give the like they did for Man United years ago. Just say the Premier League clubs, you can be in it, but it's optional. Yeah, and they still want to be in it because that's still a route into Europe for them. There we go. All right, look, I think we're done for today. Really, it's sort of it is verging on summer with the lovely weather. We'll be back doing the Rotherham game review 9 o'clock on Sunday morning. Hopefully, I'll have shaken off this cough that I've had about me for the last few days or so, and I've got something in my eye as well, which some people have noticed as well with some of the text comments there. But Dave, Mark, and Ian, thank you for your contribution. Everybody who's been watching as well. Have a great rest of weekend and have a great week. All the best, everybody. Bye-bye.
God bless everyone. Bye.